Russia. For decades, the name conjured images of a military superpower, a sleeping bear with sharp claws and a fearsome growl. But recent events have challenged this image. The invasion of Ukraine has exposed weaknesses. The mighty bear, it seems, has stumbled. The world watched in disbelief as Russia's advance faltered. Images of destroyed tanks and demoralized soldiers flooded the internet. The once feared Russian military appeared vulnerable. The question now arises, how did this happen? To understand the present, we must delve into the past. Russia's military history is a tapestry of triumphs and disasters. From the Napoleonic Wars to World War II, Russian soldiers have shown remarkable resilience and bravery. But their victories often came at a staggering cost, exposing systemic weaknesses within the military apparatus. One persistent problem has been the over-centralization of command and control. This rigid structure stifles initiative and innovation at lower levels. Decisions must often be escalated up the chain of command, slowing down operations and hindering adaptability in the field. Another historical factor is the reliance on conscription. While conscription can provide a large pool of manpower, it often results in a poorly trained and unmotivated fighting force. Furthermore, corruption has been a persistent cancer within Russia's military. These historical factors have created a legacy of weakness that continues to haunt the present. The invasion of Ukraine was supposed to be a swift and decisive operation, a demonstration of Russia's resurgent military might. Instead, it has become a quagmire, exposing the true extent of the rot within the Russian armed forces. The initial advance was met with fierce Ukrainian resistance, catching Russian forces off guard. Poor planning, logistical blunders, and low morale among troops hampered the invasion. The much-touted Russian military machine seemed to grind to a halt. Despite years of modernization efforts, much of Russia's equipment remains outdated and inferior to Western counterparts. This technological gap has put Russian forces at a disadvantage, particularly in areas like air superiority and electronic warfare. Moreover, the invasion has highlighted the limitations of Russia's military doctrine. Reliance on massed artillery bombardments has resulted in heavy civilian casualties and widespread destruction. The Ukrainian battlefield has become a harsh reality check for the Russian military. The human cost of war is always tragic, but for Russia, the invasion of Ukraine has resulted in a staggering loss of life and equipment. While exact figures are difficult to verify, the numbers paint a grim picture of the conflict's toll on the Russian military. Independent estimates suggest that tens of thousands of Russian soldiers have been killed in action. Thousands more have been wounded or captured. These losses represent a significant depletion of Russia's fighting capacity, particularly among its most experienced units. The material losses are equally staggering. Thousands of tanks, armored vehicles, aircraft, and helicopters have been destroyed or captured by Ukrainian forces. The depletion of manpower and equipment has forced Russia to rely on outdated weaponry and inexperienced conscripts. The grim tally of losses in Ukraine underscores the heavy price Russia is paying for its aggression. The invasion of Ukraine triggered a swift and unprecedented response from the international community. Western nations imposed crippling sanctions on Russia, targeting its economy, financial institutions, and key industries. These sanctions have had a devastating impact on Russia's ability to sustain its war effort and modernize its military. One of the most significant sanctions was the exclusion of major Russian banks from the SWIFT international payment system. This has severely hampered Russia's ability to conduct international transactions, isolating it from the global financial system. Sanctions have also targeted Russia's energy sector, a crucial source of revenue for the Kremlin. The European Union, Russia's largest energy customer, has pledged to reduce its dependence on Russian oil and gas. This loss of revenue will further strain Russia's already struggling economy. Moreover, sanctions have restricted Russia's access to critical technologies and components needed for its military industry. The economic fallout from the sanctions will have long-lasting consequences for Russia's military capabilities. The war in Ukraine and the subsequent sanctions have triggered a brain drain from Russia. Skilled professionals, academics, and entrepreneurs are fleeing the country in droves, seeking better opportunities and a brighter future elsewhere. This exodus of talent and expertise is further weakening Russia's already struggling economy and its military-industrial complex. The technology sector has been hit particularly hard. Many IT specialists and software developers fearing economic uncertainty and political repression, have left Russia for countries like Armenia, Georgia, and Turkey. This loss of talent will hamper Russia's ability to develop advanced technologies, including those with military applications. The exodus extends beyond the tech industry. Academics, researchers, and engineers are also leaving, taking with them valuable knowledge and expertise. The combination of economic hardship, political repression, and the ongoing war has created an environment of fear and uncertainty. This loss of human capital will have a lasting impact on Russia's future, including its ability to rebuild its military. The war in Ukraine has exposed the Russian military as a paper tiger. Beneath the veneer of strength lies a hollow shell, plagued by corruption and outdated equipment. Battlefield losses, economic sanctions, and a brain drain have left the Russian military weakened. Rebuilding its forces will be a Herculean task. The loss of experienced personnel and equipment cannot be easily replaced. Sanctions make it difficult to modernize its arsenal. The war has exposed flaws in Russia's military doctrine. Reliance on brute force has proven ineffective. A reassessment of Russia's military strategy is needed. The future of the Russian military hangs in the balance. The debacle in Ukraine has taught the Kremlin a valuable lesson. Hard power alone is no longer sufficient. Military might must be accompanied by economic strength, technological prowess, and diplomatic finesse. Russia's over-reliance on its military has proven to be a strategic blunder. The war has highlighted the importance of soft power. Ukraine's resilience and international support have exposed the limits of Russia's propaganda. The Kremlin's attempts to justify the invasion have fallen on deaf ears, damaging its reputation. The Kremlin must now grapple with the consequences of its miscalculation. Its actions have united the West, strengthened NATO, and galvanized support for Ukraine. Russia faces a future of economic hardship, political instability, and diminished global influence. The war in Ukraine has sent shockwaves through the international system, accelerating geopolitical shifts that were already underway. The post-Cold War order, characterized by American hegemony and a rules-based system, is crumbling. A new era of great power competition is emerging, with Russia and China challenging the West's dominance. The war has strengthened the transatlantic alliance. NATO, once dismissed as a relic of the Cold War, has been revitalized. European nations, alarmed by Russia's aggression, are increasing their defense spending and deepening their military cooperation. The conflict has also exposed the limitations of the United Nations Security Council. Russia's veto power has prevented the UN from taking meaningful action to stop the war. This has led to calls for reform of the UN system and a reassessment of its role in maintaining international peace and security. The war in Ukraine has ushered in a new era of uncertainty and volatility. The road to recovery for the Russian military will be long and arduous. Rebuilding its conventional forces, restoring its tarnished image, and regaining its lost influence will require a Herculean effort and a fundamental shift in the Kremlin's strategic thinking. Modernizing its aging arsenal will be a top priority. However, the sanctions have severely restricted Russia's access to advanced technologies and components. The Kremlin will need to rely on domestic production, which is hampered by corruption, inefficiency, and a lack of innovation. Attracting and retaining talented personnel will be another major challenge. The brain drain has depleted Russia's pool of skilled engineers, scientists, and military specialists. The Kremlin will need to address the root causes of this exodus, including low salaries, limited opportunities for advancement, and a stifling political environment. Reforming the military's rigid and hierarchical structure will be essential for improving its adaptability and effectiveness on the battlefield. The future of the Russian military remains shrouded in uncertainty. The Kremlin's response to the debacle in Ukraine will determine whether the once mighty bear can rise from the ashes or continue its descent into irrelevance. One possible scenario is that the Kremlin learns from its mistakes and embarks on a path of reform. This would involve acknowledging the failures of the invasion, addressing the deep-seated problems within the military, and seeking a less confrontational approach to foreign policy. However, a more likely scenario is that the Kremlin doubles down on its current course. This would involve tightening its grip on power, cracking down on dissent, and prioritizing military spending at the expense of economic development and social welfare. The future of the bear hangs in the balance. and only time will tell whether it can regain its former glory or fade into the annals of history.